everyone, Kelly here, and today I wanted to do a try a chapter video, and I really enjoy doing these because they kind of help me get excited about books again that I haven't been excited about, or deciding to get rid of a book. And I especially want to do this as kind of an unhaul edition because what I'm going to be reading today are all the lowest rated books that I have on my physical TBR from Goodreads. So all of these have pretty low Goodreads ratings, and so I haven't really been excited to pick them up. But you know, sometimes a book can have a low rating, but I might still enjoy it because it fits into like a special like niche kind of read. So I don't want to like just get rid of them because I bought them for a reason. They sounded interesting at one point, or I like the author or whatever. So I at least want to give them a chapter, try them out, and then decide what I want to get rid of and what I want to continue. And I also want to ask you a question before I start this, because I'm trying to get rid of some books off my shelf that I'm not interested in anymore, so that I can kind of, by the end of 2020, get down to one bookshelf instead of having like books stored in my closet. And originally that's what I had done my keep, read, unhaul, and my scratch off stuff for the first half of the year. But as you've probably seen if you follow me, that that hasn't been working for me because of, you know, stress from the COVID and then like doing homeschooling. So having that set schedule of what I have to read every month was not working, but I still want to get rid of some books. So I'm kind of thinking about doing a little series of these triad chapters, where today I'm doing all the lowest rated ones. I want to do like some that I just have lost interest in, or a collection of books from my scratch off that I just want to try and then maybe get rid of if I'm not finding them interesting. So let me know what you would think if I ended up doing like 4 of these videos, not necessarily in a row, like maybe one every week or 2. Would you find that interesting or not? Like me, I could try a chapter videos, like I could watch like 10 of them straight because I love them, but I know that might not be everybody's thing. So let me know if you think that you would enjoy me doing, I think I have enough to do 4 videos, and so I'd probably do them every like week or so for the next couple months. Let me know if that would be really annoying for you or not, because that'll help me get rid of a bunch of books, because I think there's like about 25 books I've pulled out that I'm like weighing whether or not I want to get rid of them. So anyways, on to the ones I'm going to read in this video. So I'm going to be trying the lowest rated books I own, and I'm going to talk about them in the order in which, you know, like the worst rated to the least worst rated, but all of these are around 3.5 on Goodreads. I'm not going to give you the exact number because that could change on a day-to-day basis, but from today, I know this first one has a 3.36 on Goodreads. The rest of them are somewhere in the 3.5s, and then the like least worst one is a 3.60. So they're all kind of in that low 3.5 area. And there are a lot of different genres and stuff like that, so this could be interesting. Hopefully I'll be getting rid of a few of these, and hopefully there'll be some that I am actually interested in reading. So let me just go through them real quick, and this is the order I'm going to read them, so if you feel like skipping any, you'll know the order I'm going in. So first I'm going to read a chapter from The Wish by Gail Carson Levine, and I've really enjoyed a lot of her books. Like she wrote Ella Enchanted and Fairest and Two Princes of Bamar. I enjoyed all those books a lot. But this book and she has another one, Ever, I think. Both of those get really bad ratings, and I read Ever and also hated it. So I kind of worry that when she's bad, she's really bad. So I want to at least give it a try. I got this like, you know, a little cheapo at a either a library store sale, or yeah, it must be the library sale looking at this. So I'm not really worried if I end up getting rid of it, but since she's an author I've liked before, I want to give her a try. But 3.36 is a pretty low rating, especially for a children's book, because usually people err on a little bit more grace for children's books, so that makes me nervous. And then the next one is a YA contemporary, I think a romance, called Signs Point to Yes by Sandy Hall. And I don't really know anything about the plot of this, so I'm just going to try it out. I just haven't ever picked it out because of its low rating. And then I have more popular author. I have The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. I've heard this is just one of her worst books. I hated her first book, In a Dark, Dark Wood, I think. And this is like the next one she wrote after that, I think. So I might not like this one either. I have enjoyed her more recent books, so I thought I would at least give this one a try before I like disregard all of her old books. So try that one out. And then I have a sci-fi speculative fiction book called And Again by Jessica Chiarella, and I had heard this recommended on somebody's channel, and I've only heard it from like one person, and I got that recommendation 2 years ago or whatever, and never heard about it ever again. So the fact that it has a low rating has not made me want to pick it up after that one person like gave it a glowing review. And then the next one is a more mixed review one that I've heard on BookTube in the last year, and that's the Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I've heard some people love this fantasy world, and some people found it really boring or just didn't like the writing or whatever, so figure I'll give it a try. I know I got this, even though it looks like a real nice version, I got this at a library sale, so I probably only paid 25 cents. So I'm not worried if I end up getting rid of that nice cover. And then the last one is a book I don't know anything about. It's called Descent by Tim Johnston. It's a thriller, and I picked it up because I was looking for thrillers that had kind of more of a survival aspect, because that's a thing I like. And this one popped up as, I think it's like people go on a family vacation in the Rocky Mountains and the kids disappear maybe, or one of the kids disappears. And that sounds interesting to me. Survival, outdoors, family searching for one of their missing family members. But the fact that it gets low rating made me not pick it up. And I hadn't looked at the ratings before I bought this. It was a whim buy. So yeah, I'm gonna check those out in that order, and I'll let you know as I read each one what I think. All right, so I started with The Wish, and this is a story about a girl in 8th grade who's having a really hard time. Her best friends have moved away before this year and nobody's talking to her. Some things happen at school that kind of point her out. This is crooked. Point her out as being even more unpopular, and everybody's making fun of her and all this stuff. And one night she meets this old lady in a bus, and the lady says that she will grant her a wish, and she wishes to be the most popular person in school. And so so far all that's happened is there's the prologue where she grants, she asks for a wish, and in the first chapter, so I read both, and the first chapter we're learning about her unpopularity and like how bad it's been for her. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of this book. I'm not going to continue. One, it's, even though there's the whole wish factor that makes it slightly fantasy, it's definitely more like real world, like it's happening in a real school, modern day, where most Gail Carson Levine are fantasy and have a fantasy world, and I enjoy that. I don't think I'm gonna enjoy her contemporary. The writing seems really bad, actually. Like the first page, I was just like, oh my gosh, like the sentences were just like she's on the bus and it's like, plus she looked terrified. I gave her my seat. I helped her into it. Like just really short, choppy, almost like a child writing it, like not good. So I just think she does better at fantasy. So this is one I am getting rid of and not going to make myself read it. I don't usually like contemporary stories like this that takes, like are more about school life and popularity and stuff like that. Those don't really appeal to me anyways. And the fact that it's not one of her fantasies, nope, that's done. All right, on to book 2, Signs Point to Yes. So I ended up reading the first 2 chapters because it turns out this is dual perspective, and I wanted to hear both perspectives. And I actually really enjoyed what I read so far. Like, I'm interested and invested, so I think I'm gonna keep this one, give it a try. I mean, I'm not saying I won't DNF it later if it turns out to not be that good, but so far I'm enjoying it. And basically what this is about is, in the first chapter we meet Jane, who is a teenager who is looking for a summer job, and she ends up applying for this job babysitting these 3 girls who live in the same neighborhood as her. And the only issue is that she's had like some history with the older brother, but it happened a long time ago, I guess, and so she decides to go for the job anyways. And then the second chapter is from the boy, the brother, Tio, and he we learn in that chapter, that he's kind of like worried about Jane taking the job, taking care of his sisters, because his problem, he doesn't have a problem with Jane, but I guess his best friend really hates her. And so he's like, it'll just be awkward for the three of them to be around over the summer. And then we also learned that he is looking for his birth father. So his mom is remarried, and the three girls, his three sisters, are his half sisters. And so he doesn't really know his birth father and is like looking for him. So just sounds like some interesting things going on. Like, I feel like there's gonna end up probably being a romance. So yeah, it just seems like it could be kind of a cute. So far, the writing has not annoyed me. I was enjoying reading it and seeing what was gonna happen. So I'm gonna keep this one and continue to give it a try. So let's move on to a thriller now. All right, so I ended up reading like 12 pages of The Lion Game because the chapters are super short. So I think I ended up reading 4 chapters. Like, that's how short the chapters were. And yeah, I think I'm not going to read this book because so far this feels very similar to In a Dark, Dark Wood, because at the beginning we meet this woman, Isabel, and she gets a like emergency SOS text from a girl from her childhood saying, I need you. So she goes right away, like takes her 6-month-old daughter, says goodbye to her husband, says, I have to go see Kate, and she's off. And then we're kind of flashing back to when her and Kate and the other 2 girls, which I don't think we've really met all 4 of the girls yet at this point, but they're like 4 friends from a boarding school. And so we're gonna flash back and forth from what I could tell to when they are teenagers and to like current time. And I also read the synopsis, and it sounds like they lied a lot when they were kids and like something big happened and they've been keeping secrets and all this stuff. And I don't know, it's very similar to the first book in the fact that like In the Dark, Dark Wood that I hated, part of what I hated about it was about grown-ups who hadn't seen each other since high school, getting back together and having all these secrets and lies and petty stuff that felt very high school-like, but they're like in their 30s. And this is the same thing. It seems like this main character is 32, so that means all of these women are in their 30s and they're going back to childhood friends and stuff that was happening in high school. And I just don't find that interesting. I like reading like YA books and, seeing the experience of teenagers as they're teenagers, because we all know what that is like, the like coming of age and all that stuff. And I like reading adult books that I can relate to, but I don't like adult books where we flash back to childhood and where people are reuniting with childhood friends and still have the same petty stuff between them as they did when they were high schoolers. I just don't find that interesting. I think by the time that you're an adult, you should just get over the things that were your issues in high school. So yeah, I think this will have the same problems I had with In a Dark, Dark Wood. So I have no interest to keep reading this one. I'm just gonna keep reading Ruth Ware's more current books, stick with that, and not go back to this one. I am gonna read The Woman in Cabin 10 next month because I've already said I was gonna buddy read it with somebody. So I'm gonna give that one a chance. And then I think that's the only other this is the only other of her older books that I'm just not going to read. So yay. I'm glad that I decided to do it in this try chapter, because often when I start a thriller, I can't stop because I feel like I have to find out what the solution is. But I didn't get far enough in this to be like hooked and need to know what happens. So I'm glad I made that choice to do it now and didn't get like, this is long. I mean, it feels like a big book for a thriller. So I'm glad I didn't like make it 100 pages in and decide I have to finish it because I have to find out who the like killer or the liar or whatever it is that we're trying to figure out is. All right, you all, it is the next day. And this is the problem I've been having with like keeping up with my channel lately. It's just really hard to find a time to film for any extended amount of time, and reading the beginning of 6 books takes a long time. So I only made it through those first 3 yesterday. So now I'm here to finish off the last 3. So I ended up actually last night reading the first chapters from the next 3 books. So I'm just gonna tell you about them and what I think and which ones I'm keeping now. So instead of me doing it in the moment, I have a little bit of time right now to film, so I'm just going to finish up on the chapters. So the next one I read was And Again by Jessica Chiarella, and I ended up actually reading 32 pages of this book, which is the first 4 chapters. And the reason is because this is told from 4 different perspectives. So just like that other book, I wanted to read all the perspectives to kind of see how it would flow between the two. Because sometimes when you have a multi-perspective story, you find that all the perspectives sound the same, or one is really bad or whatever, you know. So I just wanted to I felt like that would give me the best like knowledge of whether I wanted to continue this. And this is a futuristic speculative fiction book where at the time where the story is taking place, science has been able to create clones of human bodies, and what they're doing is they're trying to get the project approved by the FDA. So they've picked a sample group of people where they are taking their memories and placing them inside their clone's body, and so they are seeing how it works before they get federal approval on it. And so we are following 4 of those people that have gotten new bodies. So their memories are all their own. So they just like wake up and it feels like no time has passed, but they are in like their own body, but brand new. So like if they had a scar, it wouldn't be there anymore. They wouldn't have, a suntan from being out in the sun. One of the women was talking about how the hair on her arms was dark because it hasn't had years of being, lightened in the sun. So it's like having all of your genetics, but with a brand new body that hasn't experienced all of your life. And yeah, it just seems like a really interesting concept. So I've read from all 4 perspectives so far, and I did enjoy how each perspective felt completely different, like a different person. So I enjoy that. I think it makes it a lot easier to read a multi-perspective when you could really distinguish the perspectives. And I've enjoyed it so far. So far, all 4 of them are just waking up. It's kind of like their first week in this new body, and kind of what that feels like to start over again. And I think it's gonna kind of go into where, they have to relearn some muscle memory, things like that, and like what that is like. So I'm finding this really interesting so far. Like I said, I've already made it 32 pages, so I am going to keep this one and hopefully continue it soon, because I am finding it enjoyable. And then the next one I read the beginning of was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. And I ended up reading 2 chapters of this because the first chapter was like super short. It was only, 6 pages long. So I was like, well, I'll give it a little bit longer. So I think I ended up reading 12 pages. But I was actually hooked by page 3 of this. I don't know, there was something about the writing that was really intriguing me, and just like what was happening in the beginning. So in the beginning, we're following Alice, and her mom kind of live on the move all the time. So they're like kind of a very nomadic lifestyle. They only live in one place for a few months or half a year at most, and have to keep moving. And then they find out in the first chapter that her grandmother has died. And so the mom says that they can now be free to live in one place. And that's all we've learned so far in the first 2 chapters, really, that they're kind of settling into this new life. From reading the description, it sounds like Alice starts to learn more about her grandmother and why they were living this nomadic lifestyle and all that stuff. And then there's like a fantasy world involved that her grandmother wrote about called the Hazelwood. I don't really know a lot about this, even though this was popular on BookTube. I just know that it was like fantastical and kind of like almost like going into a fantastical world from the real world. Like that's kind of all I heard about it. But so far I'm intrigued by the writing. I have heard from a lot of the reviews that a lot of people thought that the first half was really intriguing and then it kind of changed tone. So it's possible that I'm really loving it now and will hate it later, but I'm intrigued enough. And this is such a beautiful book, and I really am enjoying it so far and want to find out what happens, that I am going to keep this one and probably continue it very soon. And then the last one that I started out on was Descent by Tim Johnston. This is supposed to be a thriller, but yeah, I don't know. Like I am not going to keep this. I didn't even make it through the first chapter. So it's not even a first chapter. The beginning is a like prologue, basically. It's called The Life Before is what it says at the beginning. It's like a prologue because then after that first 19 pages that are in that prologue, then it starts with chapter 1. But yeah, I made it 6 pages. So I didn't even make it through the whole prologue. I hated it from the very beginning. The first paragraph I had to read like 5 times because I was like, am I tired or am I just not like able to read words? None of it made sense. Like it took me several times of reading it before the sentences made sense as sentences. And so like I just don't think I enjoy his writing. So like I made it 6 pages in and kept zoning out, kept having to reread paragraphs. Just do not like his writing style at all. It's just very heavy-handed and like that whole like lots of words. Like it even says on here that this is a literary thriller, and there's several times on here that it's talked about it being literary and a thriller. And I just think that maybe it's too literary for what I want from a story like this. And so yeah, I couldn't even make it through the entire chapter. So that's a bad sign. And I'm thinking it's just better not to push myself and have to read this. So we're getting rid of it. So I finished the beginnings of all 6 of these books, and let's see, I ended up having 3 of them that I'm getting rid of. So I'm getting rid of The Wish by Gail Carson Levine and The Lying Game by Ruth Ware and Descent by Tim Johnston. So that's good. To get rid of half of them. That's kind of my goal, is to only keep the ones I'm really interested in. And so I'm going to keep, and again, the sci-fi one and the Hazelwood of fantasy and Science Point Yes, YA contemporary romance. So I'm more excited about these books than I have been for like the last year. So I mean, that's great because these have been sitting on my shelves for a long time. So that's the whole purpose of this kind of tri-chapter project, is I want to get more excited about the books that I actually want to keep and then get rid of books that I'm not interested in anymore. So I feel like this was a success. Let me know if you want me to do 3 more of these with more groups of books. Because like I said, I have probably 20 more books that I am debating whether I'm going to keep them or not. And I think trying a chapter, seeing what the writing's like, seeing if I get pulled into the story is the way to make that decision. Because, you know, I did pay money for them, even if I got them at a thrift store or whatever I want. I don't want to just like get rid of them. I want to give them a try and see how I feel about them. So let me know if you want me to do 3 more of these, if you'd like to have them paced out, you know, a couple weeks between, or if you don't care. If you want all of the chapters all the time, then I'll just do 1 a week and that would be fine. So I would love to talk to you down below, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.